This short video shows the more complex skills on Photoshop Elements 5. Firstly, you need to choose Edit and Enhance Photos when Photoshop 5 loads. You need to make sure you've also finished all the work you've been asked to do for the past few weeks, such as your full outfit, your caps, your hats, and also your t-shirts. Once you've first loaded up, you need to click File, and then New, and then Blank File. The size I want you to choose is called HD. So if you scroll down there, there's one called HDV 720p. This is what widescreen is on most video cameras. Make sure you give it a sensible name. Mine's called Collage. For Photoshop work. Okay, as you can see, it's a widescreen with a white background. The first thing I'm going to do is change the background fill. I want this to be a nice colourful bit of work, so I'm going to fill it with the paint bucket, and I'm going to choose a pattern and fill the background. You see I've also got layers over here. That's my first layer of the background. I'm now going to add a new layer, which means anything I put on this layer isn't on the background, and I can switch them on and off. For example, if I get a paintbrush out and make some lines, I can switch that on and off without affecting my background. So I'll create a new layer to start with. The next thing I'm going to do then is add some text with an effect on it. Up the top here you have your artwork and effects, and there's one which has the text on it. These text options can be dragged and dropped on your page and then edited. Simply double click to edit, and you can type in here and add your own wet text to it. Okay. Once you type the text in, you can change the size of it as usual using the tools at the top of the screen. Just going to make that a little bit bigger. Remember, you can add different effects to it using these options over here. When you're happy, press tick, and that will now be on your work. So we're creating a montage of images here, and what we're going to do is use frames to put the images inside of. So at the top of your screen you have an option here called frames, and you see there's different frames for different occasions. What you need to do is find frames that are going to work well in your work and drag and drop them onto it. So here's the paper one. You just drag and drop it from the right to the left, and then make the size you want it to be before putting your photograph in it. You can rotate these as well using the options at the bottom, but you basically just put this where you want it to actually look quite good. You see it says click here to add photo, so once you've chosen where you want it, simply click here to add photo, and this is where you find the photos and pictures you've been saving for the past few weeks. So first of all I'm going to add the man I made wearing a t-shirt, which I think is that one there. Okay, so yours would have a nice design on it. Once the photo's in there, you can drag it around to get it positioned right. You can also make it smaller and bigger so it fills the frame effectively. Okay, you experiment with a variety of these frames. In a good montage would have quite a few frames of different kind of styles with probably the same border size. So you can see if your frames don't quite match a picture, you can actually adjust the frame. So I can simply grab a hold of the top of this frame and make it bigger. So it's my hand-drawn effort from last week. And basically you just add all these pictures to it to make a nice montage of your work. You should have about 6 pictures in total. The other thing you can start doing is you can start putting different filters on your pictures. So this picture is quite plain, so what you can do is at the top here you have an option called Special Effects, and then there's one called Filters. All you do is you choose a filter you would like, and there's different categories for these, which you can flick through. I'm going to stick to the artistic ones, and you basically drag this on top of the element you want to add that effect to. You see how the highlighting there? So when you do that, it'll probably say, do you want to say OK at this little message? And just say yes to it. It'll then load a different window and it'll show you what it's going to look like. So from that, you can change how much it glows. So I make it so his head doesn't glow. And you can also change the colour of the glow. And you basically adjust the kind of way this actually works. I mean, glow is probably not a good one to use. Something like a smudge stick might be better. But there's different categories here you can flick through and find ones that suit your work. Okay. Now you can have more than one on at once. So if you keep clicking on different ones, it will keep adding more and more effects to it. Okay, so that is how you add effects. The final thing you may wish to do is work between your layers to add different effects. If you want to add something to the background and behind these pictures, for example, you might want to add a nice little pattern, you can simply select the background and then choose a brush style, choose a brush colour and the size. And remember, a few lessons ago we learned whether to have airbrush style or not. You can then actually paint behind the pictures because they're all layered. Okay, so you make some quite interesting designs by using effective layering tools. Okay, so you can see there, that's behind these. And the final thing you might want to do is you also add different filters and effects to your actual backgrounds. So something like that in the background would actually look quite cool. That concludes the more advanced skills training for Photoshop.